I was at the pinnacle of my career, but at absolute rock bottom in my health. This was back in 2021. I had been a private full-time personal chef for a country music star for 2.5 years, and at this point I could barely walk. I was struggling with chronic debilitating 24/7 pain in my feet that didn't go away no matter what I did. I was doing weekly physical therapy. I wore $700 custom orthotic shoes. I had even gotten a steroid shot in one of my heels. Anything that had ever, any contraption that had ever put out there for plantar fasciitis, I'd done it. I spent thousands of dollars trying to fix my feet, when in reality it was just my rheumatoid arthritis in a giant flare, because number one, I was extremely stressed out from the high demands and long hours of the job. Number two, I was actually working in a mold infested building, and I actually have a mold allergy. I'm allergic to penicillin, and people with autoimmunity are often very sensitive to mold because it is an environmental toxin. Also, the third thing was, because I was cooking from 6:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night, the last thing I wanted to do after work was cook for myself. So I ate a lot of Uber Eats, grocery store, sushi rolls, and, things off the hot bar at Whole Foods. So by this point in my life, I had already been eating flare-free since 2015. I was cooking mostly gluten, dairy, sugar-free for my clients, except for certain things that they wanted real dairy and real gluten for. And I had been eating scratch-made meals from single ingredient foods since basically 2004, when I learned how to cook when I lived abroad in Italy. So my problem wasn't that I didn't know what to eat. My problem was that I didn't have the systems in place or the support around me to help me actually eat flare-free consistently enough to keep a strong immune system, keep a strong, healthy gut, to help me in these periods of stress and in this situation where I was exposed to toxic mold. So I knew I needed to make a change, so I quit my job so that I could focus on my health. And that's when I committed to only working with people with autoimmunity, because I knew in order for me to stay well, I have to eat well every single day. And since I'm the type of chef that tastes everything that she makes, it was really important for me to be in a situation where I was cooking flare-free every single day for my clients. So I committed to eating flare-free, like 3 times a day, every day, okay? But I was in so much pain. I actually had stools all around the kitchen because I couldn't stand on my feet. And so I couldn't cook all day. And so what I started to do was something a little bit crazy. I started to spread out ingredients for the meals that I wanted to make for my family on sheet trays and cooking them in the broiler, because if they're spread out into an even layer, they can cook evenly. And if they're cooked in the broiler, which is essentially a 500-degree oven, they can cook quickly. Plus, while the broiler is doing the cooking, I can turn my back and package up my meal prep or clean my kitchen, okay? So this helped me basically cook and clean in half the time. The result? 10 days later, I was barefoot in my kitchen and garden again, which is something I hadn't been able to do in 2.5 years. And since I don't like to gatekeep, I actually put this framework into my 4-part EPIC method, which I'm going to tell you about later. But basically, it is the secret to using anti-inflammatory comfort food as medicine successfully, making this a lifestyle change that actually sticks, not another diet that you give up on after a couple weeks because it's too over-restrictive, or it's too boring, or it's just too damn hard to keep up with. Because life is always going to get in the way of you being consistent, and you have to have 4 very specific things in order to help you to make it actually doable. And that's what I'm going to teach you about in the next video. Because when you have a system, you can actually make this easier, not harder for yourself. You can meal prep in a few hours or even less than that every single week without having to, sacrifice your whole day off. You can cook scratch-made meals using single ingredient foods without chopping and prepping and slaving away in the kitchen all day long. You can have meals in the fridge to eat throughout the week without having to stop and cook and clean 3 times a day every day. And you can absolutely do this in a way that's delicious, so that you don't have to make separate meals for everybody else in the family who's not sick and doesn't want to eat this way or doesn't have to eat this way, and then healthy meals for yourself. So I can't wait to tell you more about it. Stay tuned for the next episode, and let me know in the comments below if you learned anything.